Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander. My name is Alex and today we're going to be taking a look at a commander who, I'll admit, I did not give a second glance at when I first saw them. I mean, come on, the main theme of the deck is tap lands, and you know how I feel about tap lands. But before we get onto the deck, as always, if you would like to purchase any of the cards I'm going to be talking about here, or even the full deck list, then be sure to do so through one of our lovely affiliate links in the description box below. Doesn't cost you anything extra, and really helps the channel out a lot. Or if you want to bling out your deck, then be sure to head over to altersleeves.com to peruse their extensive library of perfect fit altered sleeves. And as mentioned, this particular deck tech was voted for by our amazing patrons. If you too would like to have a chance to dictate what deck techs I do here on the channel, then be sure to head over to patreon.com and check out our various rewards at all tiers. Once again, you guys are truly awesome. Now let's get on to our slightly finger-impaired friend. Nine-Fingered Keene is a 4/4 human rogue with Menace and Ward, pay 9 life, for 1 generic, 1 black, 1 green, and 1 blue. Now, this Ward 9 essentially means that if any of our opponents wants to swords Keene, they need to pay nearly a quarter of their life to do so. Which is, as far as I'm aware, quite a lot. Keene herself reads, whenever Nine Fingers Keene deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 9 cards of your library. You may put a gate card from among them onto the battlefield. Then, if you control 9 or more gate cards, put the rest into your hand. Otherwise, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So basically what I'm hearing is, have 9 gates out, have Keene hit someone, draw 9 cards. Now I know I'm getting on a bit, after all I was literally born the year Magic came out, but I'm fairly confident drawing 9 cards is still pretty good, even with the power creep. And the fact that she helps us get to these 9 gates by looking for them herself and putting them directly onto the battlefield, essentially letting you have an additional land drop, just makes for a beautiful bit of synergistic design. Now let's take a look at how we're going to be grabbing our gates, gaining some gargantuan ground, and growing some good gains. Gleefully. At the short end of the curve, we've got our major ways of finding our gates and getting them into play. Open the Gates, Gatekeeper Vine, and District Guide all allow us to search a big gate card and put it into our hand. Crop Rotation, meanwhile, is able to grab any land we want, but we want gates, so that's what we're going to be getting, and helpfully puts them straight onto the battlefield. Expedition Map does a similar job, but for less mana, but the gate does go to hand, so swings and roundabouts. Navigation Orb, however, is an artifact that does put our gates into play, if for a steeper mana investment. Now, all this land grabbing is all well and good, but we also need to make sure we have ways of actually ramping rather than just playing 1 land a turn. We are in green after all. Growth Spiral and Explore both let us play an additional land that turn, as well as drawing us a card. We're also running Azusa, Lost But Seeking, Wayward Sawtooth, and Dryad of Ilsean Grove to help us put more lands into play each turn. These cards now should also portray the sub-theme of the deck, which is obviously going to be landfall. Which makes logical sense, after all we want our 9+ gates out as soon as possible, so we are in need of ramp. But then after that, what else do we have? No, we'll need some cards to be also getting advantage from both us having gates as well as all this land falling we'll be doing. Gatebreaker Ram will become a huge hitter when we've got our required 9 gates out, as this headbutting boy will become an 11/11 with Vigilance and Trample for 3 mana. And as for landfall, the low end we've got Tireless Tracker and Tireless Provisioner, who between them generate us a card draw with the Tracker and life or mana with the Provisioner. Scoot Swarm also generates us bodies for every landfall, which, considering how much ramp we have in the deck, this is going to be getting out of hand very, very quickly. Oh god, stop! Now, just before we move up our curve, it's important to get in some support for Keene. she is, after all, our commander. And if we say make her very hard to block, then triggering her ability and getting more gates into play becomes all the easier. Cradell of Baldur's Gate isn't really in the deck for her mill ability, but for her ability to help grant Keene unblockable for just 2 mana. Aqueous Form also makes our commander unblockable and also lets us keep one of the cards on top of our library by scrying before the damage trigger on Keene resolves. And a hilarious interaction with Keene's Menace is Vorak Battlehorns, as Keene needs to be blocked by 2 creatures due to Menace, but can now only be blocked by 1 creature, so she is essentially unblockable. Hooray for silly interactions! Then, if we look at other parts of Keene's text box, we notice that her ability triggers on damage dealt. So giving her double strike means double triggers and potentially 2 gates into play, and Fire Shrieker accomplishes this task rather nicely. And the final equipment support I want to talk about is Sword of Feast and Famine, which is currently, I know, a bit of a pretty penny, but this deck is all about grabbing lands and playing more spells than our opponents. After all, when online, we're drawing hopefully 9 cards, and we want to play those 9 cards. So being able to essentially double our mana each turn, untap our gates when they come in tapped, is very thematic and synergistic enough to be included here. Now again, making sure that Keene can get in for that damage is very important, so removing our opponent's creatures is rather needed. However, due to the fact we need less creatures, not the same amount, cards like Rapid Hybridization and Pongify are not really good for this deck. Instead, we are in black, so just the usual removal package of stuff like Assassin's Trophy, Hero's Downfall, Murderous Cut, a personal favourite of mine, and if we really need to get around Indestructible, then again a pet favourite card of mine, Tragic Slip. As for other means of supporting Keene, personally we're not looking to have a load amount of creatures, as we've already said, so probably a healthy control package is relevant, especially if we're looking to go down a more commandery damage route, because again Keene is kind of one of the major ways we're looking to win the game. So any amount of counter in the form of things like Swan Song, Fierce Guardianship, an offer you can't refuse, and the good old-fashioned things like Arcane Denial are all great stuff to keep Keene on the board as long as possible. In addition to this, cards like Heroic Intervention and Veil of Summer get to keep both our commander, and in the case of Heroic Intervention, our lands safe. There's nothing worse than being on 9 lands and someone blows one up, essentially making all that work we've done essentially useless. Now moving up the curve, we're going to have our last few little bits of ramp, as well as some means of actually, winning the game. Nylea's Intervention lets us straight search up our remaining gates, which can then be put into play 2 at a time, thanks to the very wondrous Kodama of the East Tree, who will see 1 gate come down and let us play a second. Oracle of Moldiah also allows us to play additional land cards, but can also grab them from the top of our library. And playing additional lands is also true of AC, Tyrant of Gaia Strait, who also draws a card on land ETB. Which, speaking of drawing cards when lands enter the battlefield, Tatyova is a great way to keep our hands stocked and also gain us a little bit of life here and there. But again, all this ramp is great to get Keene's ability online pretty quickly, and allow us to be hitting in and drawing those 9 cards. But after this, we now need to be closing out the game. Ob Nicholas the Fallen not only makes an opponent lose 3 life on land ETB, but then becomes a massive flyer, which, given the amount of ramp we have, will happen a lot. Beyond this, we have to remember that we are in Sultai, and have a massive amount of mana. So pick your favourite massive spell to win. Exsanguinate, Torment of Hailfire, or if you just like playing other people's decks, then Villainous Wealth. But this of course can be a little bit, how the French say, a bit boring. So we need some alternative ways to win, and for me personally, commander damage is the way to go. Keene herself, after all, has menace, and we need to be hitting people with her to get the sweet card advantage trigger anyway, so commander damage seems like a natural fit. We've already talked about the horns to give her unblockable, swords for the buff, and the shrieker for the double strike, but with greater amount of mana and greater card advantage, we can get more equipment out and quicker than our opponents can deal with. Blackblade Reforged makes our commander huge thanks to all our land and gates. Glaive of the Guild pack also grants a massive buff for Keene, given that we should be aiming to get our 9 gates out. And finally, Bear Umbra not only gives a buff to Keene, but also untaps our lands to cast more spells in our main phase too. Now onto a rather arguably important section of the deck, the lands, which we are in Sultai color combination, so our options for gates are a little bit limited, as there is only 11 gates in our color combination, which, considering we need 9 out to get the most of Keene, we've got little room for error. But helping with this, Vesuva, which can come in as a copy of any other land we have, essentially gives us another gate. Thespian Stage also has a similar ability in being able to become another gate for us if we need it. Beyond these, Rogue's Passage has the ability to give Keene unblockable to both trigger her ability and also lean into our commander damage strategy. And finally, Field of the Dead is just one of those cards that grants great card advantage from running a load of ramp, and after all, 9 gates is our goal. Anything after that may as well make us a 2/2 zombie as well. Plus, when we've got all of our gates out, then we can have Thespian Stage become another Field of the Dead for more zombie goodness. Overall, I find Keene to not be the best gate commander. However, she is definitely one of the best Sultai value commanders. Her design makes interacting with her a genuine pain, literally. And her basic ability allows you to go 9 cards deep to ramp yourself, and after that just straight up draw 9 cards, which is insane. She has a superb bit of flavorful design for a fantastic D&D character, and I cannot wait to slap people out of the game with our 9-fingered rogue. And that will be the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. What are your personal favourite cards to put in our Gate Tribal Commander? Whatever your thoughts, leave them in the comments below. We read every single one. And as always, if you like this type of content, you can help support the channel in a few quick and easy ways. Liking this video, subscribing for more content just like it, and hitting that bell icon so you never miss a video. You can also follow us on your preferred social media platforms, and if you really like the channel, you could consider becoming a patron of it yourself to get access to exclusive EDH related rewards, including voting on what deck techs I do next. Well, that'll be it from me, guys. As always, I've been Alex, and I will see you next time.